This will be the reading for the sign of Cancer for the month of September 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I've pulled 4 rows, each containing 3 cards each, and an overall energy card. Now, this overall energy card will affect each consecutive card that is pulled within each consecutive week within the month. So it makes it a very long read, a very long listen. Put your feet up, grab a coffee, the cat, the dog, make yourself comfortable, and maybe even jot down a few dates. So we're going to start with your energy card. The energy card is a movement card, okay? So it's talking about a lot of movement within the month of September. Now, it does talk about you needing to control a situation. Think very clearly, form a strategy. You need a lot of control at this point in time because you're in control of your life and you're moving it forward. So resist temptation. You're going to have to deal with people problems. You might even have to step in and take charge when other people just don't want to be bothered with something that's taking place. It does talk about focus on studies, on work, on your life path. And yes, any question that you have about relocating or traveling, okay, yes, those things are going to happen. And they're going to happen very fast. So you're going to have to deal with matters of possibly with people, with conflicts, with institutions. It might even talk about maybe you're retiring. So you're receiving some type of accolades, rewards, or honors, okay? There's going to be a celebration, a successful endeavor that you have been involved in. You may be going on a trip and you might even buy a new car. There is a lot of movement here. So know that the energy for the month of September is talking about you moving forward in your life, whether it's relocating to a new destination, a new environment, buying a new home, buying a new car, whatever it may be. It is going to move you forward in a positive way. So we're going to move into the first week. So as we move into that first couple of days of that first week, you have the 5 of Pentacles straight up. And that talks about a secure situation that's going to change or destabilize. There's going to be a change in the home dynamics, a lot of stress taking place, a change in your material situation. You might even be feeling needy. Perhaps you were cut loose from a job or a situation or a circumstance where you felt secure. Okay? It does talk about moving house. It also talks about needy family members perhaps are going to ask you for a little bit of financial help, and you might have to put your hand deep into your pocket. Then as we move into the middle part of that first week, you have the 6 of Wands reversed. That talks about a lack of confidence. You're not feeling like you have the skill or the leadership skills that other people want you to have. At this point in time, you don't think that you're fitting the bill, right? Other people are seeing you as this leader and you're not seeing it. Now, it does say that you're going to have to get other people on board with your ideas. You feel uncertain about maybe you're planning a new business endeavor and you're trying to get some prospective people to buy in on this, okay? And that's going to give you a little bit of financial accolades. But it's a little tough. It's a little tough. You're having to talk people out of their money, and you're not really sure if you have the skills to do that, okay? But it does talk about you're moving forward. You're attempting to bring this into fruition, and it's going to be successful. Now, it also talks about you needing to become more socially active, but you're feeling a little shy. You're not feeling comfortable about speaking, performing, or even being in public, but you're on your way to success. So use everything as experience. When you're filling out an application, make sure you're putting down your volunteer work. Make sure you're putting down your education, whether it be an education in a scholastic environment or whether it be just, word of mouth or experience, work experience, okay? So as you move into the last 2 days of that first week, there's some money problems. You're having a bit of money issues, okay? There's a loss of money, material problems that are taking place that are, it's going to make it difficult for you to obtain the resources or the transportation, the food even, or a phone. Maybe you're having a hard time to accommodate those needs in your life, okay? You don't make enough money to pay all those bills, and so you're having to let something go. But it does talk about you losing a form of employment or a wage of some sort. Now, if you've worked enough hours, I'm in Canada, so maybe you're able to get some type of unemployment insurance, okay? But there are places that you can attend to get the help that you need at this point in time. And you have to let that pride of yours go. And if you need help, make sure you extend that hand out to ask for help. Okay, don't be shy about asking. Now, it does say that staying focused is going to be a bit of a problem. You're overthinking things, okay? You're overthinking your financial problems. You know, you're thinking, well, what if, and what am I going to do if, when, and, you know, however, you know? So you're kind of negative thinking, and it's bringing more negativity on. As above, so below. You're manifesting more negativity in your life. Look at the positive aspects in your life, okay? And take it one step at a time. And Cancer, if you need help, open your mouth and ask for it, and it will be extended. I mean, you mightn't get everything that you need. You mightn't get the whole gamut of it, but you're going to get a portion of it. You're definitely going to be able to move forward. So stop worrying. You're making yourself sick, and you're going to go in through periods of insomnia and perhaps even depression if you don't pull out of this ahead of time. Okay, so we're in the second week. In that second week, you have legalities coming in. Yeah. King of Swords straight up, but it's not a negative thing. This person is going to help you in some way. So the legalities are going to go in your favor. Did you leave a job and you were supposed to get some type of severance package and you didn't receive it yet? Okay, so these are the things that are coming into play. And if there was some type of negativity or there was some type of transgression done against you, you are going to win. You are definitely going to win. So this does stand for a lawyer, a judge, a legislator, military bureaucrat, political activist. It could even be a school faction or even a family counselor. But it is someone who's concerned with the facts and only the facts, okay? No emotional angst here. They're only focused on the facts. Now, it also talks about someone, might be a teacher, an authority figure, okay? Maybe you took a course of study or you're supposed to do some retraining. And maybe you you failed that retraining. You weren't able to do it. Maybe you're at the time where maybe you're doing second career. And maybe there was a portion of the course that you were taking for second career that you didn't understand. So it talks about you having to reach out to a mentor or someone who's going to help you. And the truth is, they're going to look upon you with favor, okay? So they're going to help you in whatever way you need that help. So know that not everything is going to turn up, roses, but it certainly, you're not digging yourself a grave. Let's put it that way, okay? So you're moving forward. Things are going to be positive. Just you have to believe in it. Now, it does say that the laws are going to be changed in some way, okay? Now, that's going to benefit you in some way. Now, it does say that possibly you're wanting to make some sacrifices. Maybe you have children, and you're willing to make some sacrifices for those children, okay? Now, it does say that at one point in time, perhaps you were the type of parental figure, or maybe you even had a parental figure that preferred to leave the child rearing to someone else, right? And maybe they only wanted to have a connection with you when you were old enough to understand what they were saying. So it does talk about a dysfunctional relationship with a paternal figure in your life, okay? And it's almost like this individual who's coming into being, who, by the way, is an air sign, right? Perhaps they are kind of filling the role of a paternal figure. It could be an older brother, it could be a mentor, it could be a friend. It could be a brother-in-law, could be an uncle, right? But it's someone who fulfilled that need that wasn't sufficient in your life with a male authority figure, okay? So they kind of stepped up to the plate for you, yeah. And they became almost like your guardian angel. Okay, so it does talk about power struggles. It talks about power struggles in relationships that you have in your life, and that is based on something that is coming from the past, okay? Something that happened in the past, possibly with a brother or a paternal figure, a grandfather, a father, okay? Someone who was absent in your life when you needed their guidance the most. And so that kind of trickled down into perhaps your parenting skills, okay? Where you were never really sure if you were doing the right thing and saying the right thing. And so you might basically overdo it now, okay? Where you're not really sure how to become a good parental figure. And so you try to buy someone's love. You try to buy your children's love with helping them out as much as you can and giving them, financial help and things like that. Okay. And that's what I'm seeing here is that you're kind of overdoing it. You're overdoing it because you feel guilty about not having a good connection with your children, perhaps as they were growing up. Right. Okay. So we're going into the middle part of that second week. Eight of Swords, straight or reversed, and that talks about choices, right? Talks about you having to make a choice. Now, maybe you have two children, and maybe you have to make a choice between two children, right? Maybe you're standing up to the plate for one of those children, and the other one's kind of feeling left along the wayside, okay? Now, it does say that at one point or another in your life, you were a victim, okay? So there is this almost a helplessness type of energy, okay? Where you don't know how to contend with the things that happened in your past, and so you don't know how to stop it from trickling into your parental skills, okay? And that's what I'm seeing here. Now, it does talk about legal complications are going to stop you from doing what it is that you want to do. Now, it talks about having to wait on paperwork in order to move forward. Maybe you're not eligible for some type of help or finances. Now, like I said, maybe you quit a job and maybe you don't have enough hours for unemployment, right? I think it has to be a consistent amount of work over a period of years in order to get a year's worth of unemployment. Maybe you're just a little bit under that, or maybe a child of yours is just a little bit under, not able to get unemployment, okay, at this time. Now, I'm in Canada, so wherever you are, there is going to be financial issues that you're dealing with, possibly with a child of yours, and you want to help them in some way. Now, stay the hell out of other people's arguments, okay? If you have children, if you have two children, and those two children are arguing over, the help that you're extending to one of them, and they're saying, well, how come you're getting all the help and I didn't get any help, right? So stay out of it. Do not get in between, especially siblings. Do not do it, because you're just signing on for the long haul. You're signing on for problems that you really don't want to get involved in, okay? So it does talk about living with limitations. It does talk about a semblance of depression where you're not really sure how you're going to deal with this matter, right? So as I said before, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything. Just sit back and watch, listen. Okay, so we're in the last 2 days of that second week. You have the Ten of Pentacles. Now that's money. That's inheritance. Someone giving you something. Someone leaving you something that they valued, whether it's money, property, jewelry, okay? Furniture even. But it does say that it's something that they valued. So even though in the first part of that second week, you were dealing with financial issues, at the end of that second week, someone's giving you money. And so you're able to take care of the financial issues that you were having, okay? So you're able to suffice with your bills or to help out your children or whatever it may be. So we're moving into the third week, knowing full well that you've got this under control. Now you've got the finances that you need. Damn it. I spoke too soon. So in that third week, first couple of days that third week, you're having a little bit of trouble getting the resources that you need. And once again, financial issues. Now, let's say you have someone's giving you money in inheritance, right? And then you basically dole it out to your kids or give it to someone who needed it. Maybe it wasn't a lot, maybe it was a little stipend, and you said, oh, I can help you, and it's your child, and so you want to help them, you want to prove you love them, you feel a little guilty about not having a connection to them as they were growing up, and so maybe you kind of give it all to them. And trust me, don't think we all haven't done that, because we have at some point or another. But maybe you did that, and in the first couple of days of that third week, you're thinking, damn, I could use that money right about now. Yeah. So it does talk about a few financial issues. It talks about, you have a little bit of a bad attitude. You're thinking, damn it, like I gave it all away. I had it and I gave it all away. So you're kind of throwing your hands up in the air and saying, to hell with it, I don't care anymore, right? But it does say you are going to improve something in your life, whether it's your skills, your life, your environment, your relationship, okay? Now, there's someone in your circle of energy that doesn't value this. They don't value your abilities, your skill, even your, your relationship to them. They don't value it because it never was there. And you're wanting this person to realize that you're trying to make up for maybe a dysfunctional relationship that you had with them, or maybe even with a parental figure in your life, okay? And they're not having any part of it. And you're kind of saying, well, to hell with it then. I just don't care. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this game, okay? So you're dealing with those type of issues in the first part of that third week. And the truth is, if you hear this reading early, okay, it'd be a good thing, because sometimes we can overextend ourselves and it's not appreciated. And that's what you're dealing with now, where you don't feel appreciated or respected. And it has to be a two-way street, whether it's in a romantic inclination or whether it's in a familial inclination, even at work, even with coworkers, okay? Middle part of that third week. Reconciliation, yeah, with someone, a relationship from the past. You're joining forces with them. You're leaving your grievances by the wayside, and this could very well be that child of yours or a family member of yours who pulled away from you because they didn't respect your values. They didn't respect your persona. They didn't respect what you were trying to do, how you were trying to make things up, okay? But you might reconcile with them. Maybe you'll get together and join a project to, get involved in maybe a family business or something. Now you're having to make a choice, but you're really hesitant. You're really hesitant. And you're basically putting yourself in other people's shoes, okay? You're trying to be fair-minded. You're trying to be reciprocal. You're trying your damnedest to be a better person. You really are. Yeah. You're looking at other people's perspectives and their belief systems, and you're trying to incorporate a little bit of more kind of like give and take in this relationship, okay? Now, maybe one of you, whether it be you, a child of yours, a romantic partner of yours, a coworker, a friend, a family member, okay? One of you is maybe a little bit more emotional than the other. Maybe one of you is more adamant on getting their way, more aggressively dominant, okay? And you're feeling a little restless, and you're wanting this whole situation to change. You're tired of doing this. You don't want to do it anymore. You want to leave those past cycles in the past, and you want to move into the future in a better way. And so as you're moving in to the latter part of that third week, you're exhausted, Cancer. You're having to make this big push to get something done. And it's like one day you're saying, yeah, I'm committed. I'm fully committed to this. And the next day you're saying, why in the hell should I be, right? Sometimes you feel driven and other times you feel like sleeping, that type of thing. But it says that you need to focus on your stamina. Yeah. Are you willing to put the effort in? Because it is going to take a lot of effort, whether it's rebuilding trust, whether it's rebuilding a relationship, whether it's rebuilding a business. Okay. Maybe you're starting a business from scratch. Maybe you don't have the energy to go it alone. It also talks about illness. So it talks about having to focus on your diet, recovery from illness. You're going to need to use restraint in a situation where you're going to have to deal with someone in a softer approach and not abruptly or aggressively, okay? I mean, you could still make that show of strength and personal power, but don't go over the top. Yeah, don't go over top. Don't be too aggressive, because that will destroy it totally. So if you're trying to rebuild a relationship and you're being a little bit too blunt or too forward or too abrupt, okay? It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work well for you, okay? Now, it also talks about possibly you relaxing your self-control. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. So if you have some type of, when you get frustrated or you get sad or depressed, you kind of turn to food, or you turn to alcohol, or you turn to drugs. It could even be a sexual addiction, okay? So don't be getting back into that kind of stuff. Hold yourself strong. Don't relax that self-control, because now you're going to need it all the more. Now, it does talk about you getting involved in different groups, okay? Different peer groups. Maybe getting involved in volunteer work. Maybe getting involved in, mentoring someone, teaching, on-the-job training, okay? Those type of things. It could be reciprocal, where you're teaching someone your skills. Maybe you're teaching someone to replace you at a job that maybe you're retiring from, or you're being moved up that echelon of power and you're having to teach someone the skills that you used on a particular job, okay? So be aware of that and be steadfast. We are in the last week. So all this stress that's been going on through the month, Cancer, is affecting your health. So you have the Four of Swords and it's straight up. And that talks about having to take care of your health because stress is wearing you down. It's wearing you down. Stay active. Don't go home and, put your feet up at the couch and watch TV for hours and hours and hours, because that will affect your circulation. And whatever is circling around, it's circling around your heart health, okay? So be aware of that, and your blood circulation. So stay active. Now it also talks about tension in your environment, possibly with a family member. Maybe you have a child, an adult child that has moved home to be, to get some support from you in some way, okay? So we just talk about concerns about that living situation, tension, arguments, okay? You have to learn to say no. Put up your personal boundaries. I mean, it's okay to open up to other people and tell them how you feel, but it's another thing to take the brunt of all their responsibilities. You can only take the blame for a certain amount of things. You can't wear their issues as your guilt for the rest of your life, right? Like I said, everybody has their problems that they have to deal with. So be aware of that. But it also talks about a violent altercation with someone, okay? And there might be a violation of your social, physical, or even emotional space, okay? Now, don't worry. If there's an injury, it's going to heal fast. It'll heal fast, but a solution in your life is going to take some time, okay? Now, you're going to come up with a solution to an illness, perhaps a circulatory problem. Maybe you're going to go see a doctor. Maybe you're going to get forewarned by this reading and you're going to go make an appointment with your doctor and get on some type of medication that's going to bring that anxiety level down, okay? So I will suggest only under the guise that I am not a professional, I am not a doctor, I'm a tarot reader. But ashwagandha lowers cortisol. So you might want to check into that in order to lower your anxiety level, because it will affect your health. It will create inflammation, and inflammation creates disease. So be aware of that. Now, it might also be someone else in your life who's dealing with heart problems, okay? And so they need to learn maybe even meditation or getting involved in yoga or Tai Chi or learn just being out in nature and walking, right? Okay, so we're in the middle part of that last week. Queen of Pentacles, and it is reversed. An earth sign female, Taurus, Capricorn, or a Virgo. They're tired, they're pessimistic, they're having to hang on to the money. And this could be a daughter, a son, a child of yours. It could be a romantic partner of yours that's just overwhelmed with problems, okay? And they might find out that they are going to become a parent. Maybe they're going to become a first-time parent and they're not ready for it. This could also be, at the point of contention where this individual is not ready for pregnancy, okay? They're not, and it is a female. And it might be someone who's dealing with hormonal issues, okay? Or problems with their female sexual organs, okay? It also talks about a fear of intimacy or physical closeness due to some type of health issue with their sexual organs. So it also talks about a fear of losing security. Maybe someone is dealing with these issues and so they're not able to work and they're not able to accommodate the bills that they have and the financial needs that they have. And so, yeah, they're scared as hell. They're scared to lose security, and you might have to help. You might be asked to help them in some way, okay? But it almost sounds like it's like a reciprocal thing. It's like, I'll help you if you do this. So whether you're saying this to someone or someone's saying to you, I'll help you, but you have to foot the bill. You have to do some work around the house, that type of stuff, okay? Now, it does say about focusing on social expectations and conforming to them. Now, it's almost like your world has become very narrow, okay? You're focused on particular things in your life and you're not able to reach outside that little jailhouse that you've built, okay? Now, it could also talk about a parental figure in your life. whether you're this parental figure or whether this is a parental figure of yours, okay? And maybe they were very hypercritical of you. Maybe they were always putting you down, saying you weren't good enough, you'd never measure up. Now, this could be a parental figure, but it could also be a romantic partner, could be a spouse. And it was someone who was always telling you you were never good enough, that they could have done better, okay? Those type of things. So if it is an ex-partner, that's not conducive to a good relationship. So if that relationship has left your life, just be thankful. Be thankful, right? So it does talk about issues pertaining to self-sufficiency, even when you were making good money. Okay, let's say you're not now, but maybe there was a period of time in your life when you were, and you still weren't getting the pats on the back or the accolades for that, right? You never were able to achieve enough for this person to say, oh, I have the best, I have the best spouse around. They know what they're doing. They're hard workers. They're bringing home the bacon, right? That type of stuff. So you almost feel like kind of done in before you even start, because you're thinking about the things that were said to you in a negative context, okay? And it affected you. And maybe you didn't even realize it affected you. And now you're starting to see that, damn, I'm always putting myself down. It's almost like I put myself down before anybody else can, right? Okay, so the month of September is a bit of a kick in the teeth. It really is. But know that after the rain comes the sun and vice versa, right? Now, so we're in the last 2 days of that last week, and you have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Oh, geez. Oh, okay. Okay. So, financial, right? It's a financial issue. And the Wheel of Fortune is turning. It's always in continual motion, okay? So change is coming. Prepare for the unexpected. You might be feeling a little insecure, disorientated, okay? Something's coming to an end. Now, are you retiring from work? Is a job ending? Is a relationship ending? Is a period of schooling ending? Whatever it may be, okay? Maybe you were in second career and maybe now you're graduating. Maybe you, vied to get into a new job endeavor and now you're graduating from that course and you're moving into a new level of work. So something is coming to an end, whatever that may be, but growth is going to come from this circumstance, okay? Maybe you never wanted to, end one job. Maybe you were perfectly content in the job that you were doing, and then as you started to get older, you weren't able to contend with the stresses from that job, and so you're choosing something a little bit lighter and a little bit easier on your mind, okay? You're going to get the second chance in your life. You're going to improve your relationships, your job, your environment. Financial problems are going to end. There is going to be a career change. That is a definite. That is a definite. There is going to be a wave of layoffs, okay, at your job. So know that whatever job that you're contending with, you are going to be leaving that job. Maybe moving higher, maybe moving to something a little bit, over the top. Maybe you're moving to a job that is completely different. Maybe you're moving laterally instead of horizontally, okay? But it is happening. Change is happening. It's taking place. So it's going to give you a period of instability, insecurity, maybe even some despair or discouragement. You're anticipating the other shoe dropping, but remember that Wheel of Fortune changes, it moves, it's constantly in this cycle, it's constantly revolving. So you might be at the lowest point now when it comes to, think about it. You changed careers, you lost one, maybe you got laid off, maybe you quit a job because you can't contend with the stresses anymore, right? And so it's giving you another option in your life. So think of it that way. Instead of thinking of it as defeat and, oh, my life's over, right? Think of it this way. This is my chance to begin anew. This is my second chance at life. And not everybody gets a second chance. So be happy for the second chance that you're getting. And I shall see you in the month of October 2026. Namaste, my friends. Stay positive and manifest as above, so below. Bye-bye.